Okay, so now what we're going to deal with is retouching. And this one we're actually going to use for a few things. We're going to use for the retouching, and we're going to use to introduce you to mask, and we're going to introduce you to use for levels. Levels are pretty good in there. There's some heavy blue cast, so we'll use one tool, and there's some brightness, but I think this is fine otherwise. So this is what we're going to do. And again, there's many ways to do this. This is my toolbar. This is my image. These are my tabs with all the photos. This is my menu. We're not going to worry about that. This just make sure that on the top, so it tells you the size of your brush. You have we're using the healing brush. This is the size of your brush, the hardness. So let me show you. I'm going to zoom in and make it bigger, okay? So, hardness. So this is, you see this, I'm clicking, very soft. You can see the edge. This is the softness of the edge. And I'm going to show you hard. And I click, and this is what happened. So usually you want to keep it as soft as possible. Sometimes you need sharper, okay? So I'm going to go to my history, and I'm going to delete layer, okay? So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use these two tools. I'm going to go back to, so the size, you can come right here. So for the size, what I do is I use Command, which is Alt on a PC, Command and either the left or the right bracket. So the left and the right bracket are on the next to the P on my keyboard, on my Mac keyboard. So basically, actually I don't even touch the command. I just go left or right bracket. So this is very important. This will help you. If you want a small one or a big one, you're good to go. Okay. There are other shortcuts. I'm not going to spend days on this. I just want to give you a quick introduction. So for the retouching, we're going to use the spot healing brush tool, and we're going to use the clone stamp. Okay, clone stamp again. Left bracket make it smaller, right bracket makes it bigger. Okay. What is the difference? So the first thing I'm going to show you is we're going to do two things. I do not, so we're going to get, actually, I'm sorry, what we're going to do is we're going to get back to this in 1 second, and I will show you a filter that I use as a basis, and then we'll take it from there. Okay? So this image is a nightmare, as I said, especially if you look at the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to take the background image or the background layer. I'm going to copy it, okay? Very important to use this filter, okay? So do not move to the filter. I'm going to explain to you in a minute if you don't do this, okay? So the first thing, you're going to take the filter, the layer, and you're going to drag it to the plus. And now you have a background copy. Anything that you do and you screw up, go undo. And that's it, okay? So now we have two layers. Our background, which is locked, so we can't really do much to it. And if you want to unlock it, you just double click it. And it just tells you, oh, that's going to be layer 0. But we're going to ignore it, okay? Here is my background copy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Filter, Noise, Dust and Scratches. A window's going to open. And really, I'm going to click on 8 radius and 6. You can change it. I'm going to change it and you can see how it appears. So maybe we'll go 6 and 6 for this image. And you can see there's some stuff, but that's fine. I'll deal with this stuff. And we're going to click OK. So now you can see that this is not good. Something didn't look like this a minute ago. We're going to hide this top layer that we just applied the filter. And we can see Sanchi's face. The background, the little out of focus, no big deal. The clothes, we can deal with that. If we're very, very worried, we can retouch the clothes. But let's go with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back the face and the beard and the top there. So to do this is I'm going to create a mask. So I'm on the top layer, background copy, which is the layer that needs to be adjusted, and I'm going to get rid of this effect. So to do that, I'm going to click on mask. And now you can see that this layer has a mask. Okay? This is called a mask. Okay? It is white. This is what happens if I completely fill it with black. Honestly, there's many ways. You can go edit, fill, takes you half an hour. What I do is I click Command, Delete if it's put the black in the background, in the foreground, and then click Option, Delete, and now boom, everything's gone. Or Command or Alt, Delete, and everything is back. In this case, we're going to brush. With white. So to change, going back and forth, I click the letter X on my keyboard. I'm sorry. This may be, a little too fast. Listen to it over and over again. I don't want to spend hours doing this. First, my voice, and, it's Saturday afternoon, and, I just finished delivering a job, so I just have to make it fairly quick. So X, and I want you to look at right here. X allows you to move the black foreground or background. Foreground is the top one, background is the small square. So right now we have our foreground is white, our background is black. My filter, my mask is completely white, which means there's not affected. That layer is completely the way it is. I am going to click X. I have my brush here. And before I go, it's a normal brush. It's the size. Again, you have the size and the hardness. I'm going to go over fairly soft. Opacity and flow. So opacity is pretty straightforward. Is how transparent your brush is. So if it's a 10%, it's a very, very light effect. 100% would be completely black, and I'll show you. The flow is how many times you need to repeat it, and so right now as I repeat it, it will be 100%. So if I do 80% and 80%, it'll go to the maximum 100%. If I do 10% opacity, if I do it once, it'll be 10. If I redo it, the opacity will be another 10, and so on. But I'm going to keep it at 80. I like my brushes to be around 80. Same thing with the clone stamp. But let's brush, and you can see. So I'm making it smaller using the left bracket, and I'm using. I want this beard to come back. So, and I'll show you in a second. If you're concerned about some of these, you can go like that. And here is my mask. So I'm going to click the Option key on my Mac. And this is a mask And you can see the face has been totally blocked off. That means what we're seeing, I'm going to click option again and click on the mask. What we're seeing is the background. And everything that's white is showing this layer that has been affected by the filter. Everything that is in black is not affected. Just think of it as if you're putting a dodging tool between two layers. This is kind of like would be the dodging tool. Okay? And you can see I want to bring this back, but there's some, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There's a little bit of retouching that will need to be important, so I'll do it. I mean, really, I don't think this is such a big deal. I'll get the end back. I mean, the closing, I don't think that's a big deal. But anyway, here we go. We got some issues showing up, and we'll deal with it. Okay? So at this point, we started. I'm going to show you where we started. Started here, which is actually pretty good. And now we're here. So let's do some of the extra thing that we're going to need to retouch. Now, I do not retouch on a layer ever. I always retouch on the blank layer. So I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I want you to look at what happens when I do that. So right now we have our background layer, which is what we want to, which has all the scratches and dust and all that stuff. And I want to, we have this one that has been applied, the dust filter, the dust and scratch filter, which we're not going to apply again. And now what we're going to do is we're going to retouch. Again, I don't retouch on a blank, on a layer. I will do it on a blank layer, okay? So I'm going to click this, and now, as you saw what happened, I'm going to do it again. If you look right here, as I said, I click plus, I have a blank layer. You can see the little square, and if I hide the two layers, I have something blank, okay? And let me show you also what happened. So if I show you just this layer, you can see that there's nothing here. My dodging tool or my blocking the effect and what I touched really has nothing. It shows nothing. So when I put this layer back, this is what's showing. And this I'll retouch, okay? I may not do the whole thing, but... So let's start with the sky. The sky is something. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the spot healing brush. Spot healing brush, basically what it does, definitely too big, so I'm going to use my left bracket on my keyboard. What the spot healing brush does when you do such a thing like this, it calculates all the areas on the left and the right and the top and the bottom and say, from our judgment and our calculation, this is what it should look like, okay? So let me just make sure I don't want to have a very hard, So I'm going to start going, and you can see I'm going to go very quickly. You don't need to go one at a time, dot, 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 dot. You can actually go like this, and I'll show you especially on the bottom. But I'm not going to clean up. So this is good. This is fine, fine, fine. I'm at 200% right here, right here, right here, right here. So that's plenty. I'm going pretty quick. So I'll get rid of this one, these. And this I can do like that. You can see if I undo, I can actually just go like a little bit like this. The computer does the calculation, and basically, this is pretty good. Okay. Here we go. So there's a little bit here, and again I'm gonna go, I'm not gonna go like spend hours on this. I'm sure I could spend more work, but I think at this point I'm pretty good. Oh, I see a little bit on his mustache. If you enlarge, you can keep finding stuff. So usually I think 200, you're pretty good. Okay? So now, what have we done? We adjusted using that filter, the dust and scratch filter in the noise tab. On a new layer, we copied the layer, we masked it. I'm not, because we can see it's just softens the focus. We put the mask back on, and now we put the background layer. Perfect. We do have some scratch, some dust and scratches. We added a brand new layer, blank. We make it visible where we retouch, and that's what it is. And I'm going to show you so you can see what it looks like, what the layer looks like. And I mean, you're going to see some that are much worse, but okay. And now I want to look at the color. So the color in this case, I think Sanchi's face is good. I think the turban is very blue. There's a lot of blue cast here, a lot of blue. So how are we going to change it? So for this, I'm going to use something called hue saturation. Okay? You can find it here in auto adjustment, hue saturation, or command U. You can find it here. I'm going to cancel. You can find it here. I usually find my tool here, hue saturation, and I'm going to work from here. Now, you say, oh, well, Bruno, you want to take off some blue. How are you going to do this? Well, this is very, very simple. If your file is magenta, if your file is red, yellow, just look at the tab right here. You have masters, and you have any color you want and the way you're going to affect it. In this case, we want to affect the blues. Okay? The computer is going to read everything that's blue and do 3 effect hue, which I'm not going to get into. Lightness and darkness is darker or lighter, which we're not going to use. All we want to do is lower the saturation of the blue. So here we go. And you can see as I'm moving it, well, that's pretty good. Let's see what it is before. And you have the eye here. Before, after. Well, that's pretty good. That's very clean. You can see it in the shadows. You can see it here. You can see it here. Right there and right there, which was mainly my concern. So this is without and with this. I like this. Boom. Fantastic. Now, one of the things that happened is when I did this, look at the sky. Oh, the sky was much bluer. So what do? Yeah, it looks a little dead. I'm going to use the mask. I'm going to select the mask, go to the brush, and I'm going to make sure I'm 80%. My filter, or just think of it as a filter that we're going to block areas or let the area being affected. And right now, everything is getting affected. Everything that's blue is getting affected by this hue saturation adjustment that I made. And you can see it's pretty drastic, but it's really nice. So I don't want the top to be so affected, so I'm going to select the top. I'm going to make sure that it's the top, the foreground, which is this foreground background, set foreground color. The foreground is black. Use the X, the letter X on your keyboard by going back and forth until it's black. And then I'm going to start painting. And you can see very quickly the richness of the sky is actually coming back. And you can see I'm going too far right here, so I'll go back to it. So I'm going back to it. I want to get rid of this. So I'm going to go X, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see actually the effect. You can see, I'm not sure you're seeing it, but not really. So, but let's say this blue here that I don't want, I can brush it with white, and that's about it. And at this point, your file is ready to go. I didn't touch the size of the file. The file is 18 megabytes. That's the way it came in. So I'm sorry, I'm using pixel. I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to go to File, Save a Copy. I'm going to select JPEG. I'm going to change copy to NDBD. And it's by, and I'm going to save. It asks me what option, quality. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to put the highest quality because this is an archival project. So, and I don't think they care about the size of the file. And then I'm going to save. And then, you know, it goes to wherever you decided. So this is for one of the images. So I'm going to close it. I'm not going to save. What I suggest you do is you save these images as you process them. So if you have to go back to it, you know, save them for now and then delete them later. I save all of my files. And then I think after a while, I just delete them because I don't need to have all these photos on my desktop. So, and it's going to save all the layers. Okay. So we're going to put these away. So here is another photo that came in, and I thought it was a good example of what we were dealing with dark areas. Okay. So I'm sorry. That's it for the retouching. We're going to do another example in a minute.